And with that, I want to welcome you to the 7th episode of the Case Closed podcast. I'm your host, Professor C. I'm joined today by special guest Full Metal X 117. Welcome to the show.
Hey everyone, Full Metal X 117 here, and I'm glad to be on the show to hopefully talk about Case Closed.
Absolutely. Now, last show, I don't know if you had seen our last episode, we had discussed Case Closed Season 2, which you, by the way, have an unboxing for. Please tell us what you think about it.
Season 2, well, the first thing I do think about it is, it is named Detective Boys, after all that's what the Season 2 is called, but I felt as if most of the season, it wasn't really about the Detective Boys, it's more, unlike Season 1, this one actually is more about Jimmy, Richard, Rachel, and, well, in the last couple of episodes, Harley. Now, saying that, I do think Season 2 was a pretty good season. We got to see a lot of good twists, surprises, and there were a lot of those two-part episodes, which I really like.
And of course, the goriest, I would say, of all in Case Closed over here, at least in America anyway, the Mountain Villa Murder two-part series. I would say that is the most goriest, just most full of blood. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
Definitely. There was definitely a lot more blood in this season 2, but Japan, I don't think they worry about this too much as they do here in the U.S., which I do like, by the way.
Yes, and I think that two-part kind of shows us, maybe it establishes an attitude about what the series is going to be. It wasn't just a kids show, it was also a show that adults could watch and kind of maybe, it could attract a more mature audience, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, ever since I first saw the series, I knew that, this series could definitely be for everyone, has something that everyone will like about it, and that's why I do think it has a huge appeal, and that's why I think it's really popular in Japan as well.
Now, there have also been issues, some of these things have been talked about. Season 2, in some discussions, has been the center of this, that Case Closed kind of doesn't fit with a certain audience because sometimes it's not mature enough, and then there's other times that it's, too immature. Do you think that maybe, even if that's the case, that if Funimation had dubbed it a different way, maybe with less language or more language, they could have established what the attitude for the series is here in America as opposed to knowing the identity of the series in Japan?
Now, out of all the animes that Funimation has dubbed, I do think Case Closed is possibly, one of their best. Now, saying that because I do think they have a pretty good balance between those. I mean, if you know Fullmetal Alchemist, they actually have more cursing in that anime versus others. And I do believe, in Case Closed, they do use words like that too. And I do think they have a pretty good balance. So I think Funimation did set it up pretty well. I wouldn't really change the dub.
I agree with that, very much so, but it's always good to ask her that question and try to get opinions because I personally think the show could fit with an older audience as well as a younger audience, depending on what episodes are shown because of the Detective Boys being in the series.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely that's a discussion and a topic that people like to discuss. Now, you have seen all of Season 2, is that correct?
Yes.
And what would you say your favorite episodes in that season would be?
There's definitely a lot. This was a very good season, I thought. But if I had to choose, I do really like Conan is kidnapped with no immunity for the diplomat being a very close second. But the reason I like Conan is kidnapped a lot more is because out of all the episodes I've seen so far in Case Closed, I think this was one of those episodes where Jimmy was not winning the battle. He did not know how to solve the case. He was losing the entire time. And in the end, you thought he really did lose, but then they had a nice twist at the end, which I thought was really good.
Yes, and if most people here, hopefully that have watched the show, have seen that episode, but I guess it proves that even the great Jimmy Kudo can't outwit his own father,
Yeah.
And people have made the point saying that Booker is actually a better detective than Jimmy. I have to agree with that, actually, in some parts, because there are times in the series that you see flashbacks to Booker being this great detective, but he decides to go a different way with his career, and then Jimmy grew up around crime and all that, becomes the detective instead of the mystery novelist like his father.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I thought it was a very cool, where Jimmy descended from. I really thought he has pretty good origins. His mom is a great actor, and his dad's, of course, a great author. And there's no surprise that Jimmy turned out to be a pretty good detective because he had a really good legacy to fall upon.
Now, talking about No Immunity for the Diplomat two-part series, I wanted to talk about that mostly. Near the end of season 2, we establish a new character with Harley Hartwell coming in, and obviously establishes himself as Jimmy Kudo's rival. Tell me what you think about his character and how it plays in the series.
I really do think it adds depth to the series. I think it has that thing where every series should have, and a lot of them do have. It has a rivalry between the main character and another character. I think it'll make the series a lot more fun. It establishes two great detectives that are, in my opinion, equally good. Jimmy in that episode, Harley did make a mistake, but I think it just adds more dimension to the series, a lot more depth, and I think it'll make it a lot more fun as well.
Now for me, season 2, in my opinion, other than season 1, it's my second favorite season. I'm not saying that as every season goes, I'm going to say season 3 is my third favorite, season 4 is my fourth favorite. I'm not going to do that. But between season 1 and season 2, I watched these episodes on Adult Swim, so they're pretty special to me. And that's why I, definitely prefer seasons 1 and 2 because they are what introduced me into the series. Are there any episodes that you would say are as honorable mentions, so to speak, for people to check out right away after purchasing this DVD?
Well,